The monthly closes are officially in for the stock markets, crypto, Bitcoin, the whole bank shoot. And in today's show, we're going to assess whether you should be looking to buy crypto before the US elections actually take place. We're going to have a look at some of the data over there. We're also going to have a look at some of those key monthly closes, which you can see over here is now officially all-time highs, right, for the Nasdaq as well as the S&P 500. So very, very, very big moves that have been taking place over there within the stock market. And that is the highest closes ever, right? So will crypto follow? That's the question, because we have made an all-time high, but we are oscillating slightly below that level and continuing to consolidate. So the great bull market of 2024, 5 months into the year, is now complete with the results in S&P 500 up 9.26%. So over 50% of the gains driven by only 4 stocks, right? Which means that ultimately you're still looking for the 496 other ones, which only did around 4% gains to catch up. And that's usually what you'll see in the final phase of that bull market as it reaches that blow off top phase, right? Or the right translated cycle if it's just a slow grind and it continues on. Dow Jones Industrial Average up 1.15%, IWM up 1.8%. So all in all, the markets continue to rip towards the upside. And the question is, will the politics of the US also affect the markets, that both being the stock market and crypto? Well, we're already seeing a lot happening within crypto. It's been back and forth, right? A lot of lies and deception within the market, where Biden was at one point switching to pro-crypto because Trump was pro-crypto and it was a threat. But now Trump is out and Biden went back to being anti-crypto, with this just coming in that he ultimately vetoed the bill that allows highly regulated financial firms like banks to hold and custody crypto. So going back and against crypto once again, this is the to and fro that you're seeing. And a lot of strange things happening within the world and the markets. We had a solar flare that happened coincidentally exactly as Biden vetoed the crypto bill. And then here's your monthly chart, right, in terms of the volume. So big up moves. Coinbase went down temporarily, and it's been an interesting close for the markets. This is what the markets look like. Let's go into the monthly. So most of the coins in the top 100 are still looking pretty good. If you look over here on the weekly, though, a lot of them red, only a couple ones that are green, and they up in a pretty big way, right? The ones that are green, Notcoin, Jasmy, we got BGB, right? We got the BitGet trading competition, which is coming up. So maybe that's one reason for the BGB token starting to rally. WIF is still up on the weekly. Let's see on the daily, also about half and half. And on the hourly, most of the coins are starting to pull back over here. So we'll have a look at all these things. Make sure you smash the like button, hit the bell notification, and subscribe to the channel. We are just ever so slightly shy of 800,000 subscribers. So make sure you subscribe, hit the bell notification, and then like this video, because it's an irregular stream time for me on a weekend, on a Saturday. It will really help to get the show content out there if you smash that like button. And then I am monitoring the comments. So welcome back to all the familiar faces in the chat over there. Okay, let's have a look. This is currently your quarterly candle for Bitcoin. The monthly did close green, right? So if you go to the monthly candle, this is ultimately what we saw. We're still consolidating within that space. And really, we need to see Bitcoin break above $71,700 on a closing basis to get that expansion. And there are some signs and symptoms that suggest that we may get that. If you look at the ETH chart, though, you have a full bullish engulfing candle on the monthly, obviously opening at the bottom over there and moving all the way through, closing above the previous month's wick high, which is looking very, very good for Ethereum. So onwards and upwards is the name of the game over there. And these are your prior monthly returns for June, right? So if you look at June, it's half and half, right? Slightly over half of them are green. I think it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them are green, and the rest of them are red. So this is the S&P 500 during electional year seasonal patterns. If we use what they've labeled as the big S&P 500 bull years, and that's been measured by percentage gain, you can tell using the statistics when there's been bigger moves within the market. So if you look over here, S&P 500 election year 2024, ultimately there is a correlation, and you expect that you get pullbacks throughout May, and leading into June is where you find a major bottom within the stock markets, and then you should rally on towards the upside. So we'll have a look at those stock markets in just a moment. All in all, this is indicative that during those electional year seasonal patterns, that it should, from this point onwards, be a slow grind onwards and upwards. And as we near the end of the year, that's where things start to go truly parabolic. And that, of course, will affect crypto. But we'll look at the correlation in just a moment. This is an example of Bitcoin, right? Consolidating into those all-time highs, which is what you've seen right now, right? So if you look at those prior highs, here's the consolidation, the order block, which I've just shown on this chart over here. So let's just go back. We'll go back to Bitcoin. The blue highlighted area over here is your order block. That is the consolidation. And I can show you back over here what happened on the prior times. So if we just expand this over here, this is the first cycle, right? The first cycle when you consolidated at those highs, obviously closed a big green candle and led to a big up move. But this time doesn't look as similar to that. I think it's the next cycle that we look more similar to, which is this one over here. This was your 2016 cycle leading into 2017. And I'm going to show you there's one other metric that shows there's a major similarity to what we're seeing in 2017 in terms of Bitcoin versus the M2 money supply. So if you have a look over here, this is what our current order block looks like, right? So big choppy candles over here, up and down, consolidating at those all-time highs. And then you can see exactly what happens next, right? The move goes pretty parabolic. This was an example of 2020 leading into the 2021 bull run, which tracked more similarly to the 2012-2013 cycle. And then that's the current picture, right? So you can see from a fractal perspective, those similarities. And what is the other similarity? Well, if you look over here at this chart, this is ultimately the first breakout of Bitcoin against the M1 money supply since March 2017. And then when that happened, which again, from a fractal perspective, you can see those similarities, Bitcoin went pretty parabolic for the next 9 months, reaching into major all-time high territory with one of the biggest runs that we've seen on not only Bitcoin, but altcoins as well. Here you can see the S&P 500 overlaid with Bitcoin in the orange, the S&P 500 in the white. And they've been tracking very similar in recent times, but Bitcoin has obviously moved over and in terms of deviating way above the S&P 500. So just be cognizant and cautious of a potential a convergence trade where the stock market may come up and Bitcoin may still trade a little bit differently, bringing that back into unison, because most of the time they trade very closely together. So that is one of the potential bearish scenarios. The other potential bearish scenario is extreme contango. It's something that I covered in the last show. You can go back to yesterday's show if you want to find out a bit more about that. Long story short, extreme contango is where all the futures contracts are trading higher and higher consecutively. So June contracts, or at least July contracts, are higher than June, August higher than July, and so consecutively the spread becomes increasingly more significant, and the markets don't trade in extreme contango for a long time. Eventually, like a magnet, there will be some sort of a snapback. So that's the one potential bearish case, but I think as it currently stands, the majority of this is in the bull's court, and there is unlikely to be a major cycle top, right? There could be a local top that could be set in with the market in terms of a pullback coming in to set in a major high low on a macro scale. But in terms of a cycle top, meaning the end of the bull run, we haven't yet seen that, right? Because you can also pull up the pi cycle top indicator, which ultimately uses the 350-day moving average as well as the 111. So the 350 is the longer term purple one, and the 111 moving average is going to be the blue one. And what you would expect to see for cycle tops is you would see that Bitcoin would ultimately start to rally well above that 350 moving average, get above that. And as it continues to drive prices higher and higher, the 111 moving average will slowly start to catch up. And usually when these moving averages converge into one another, that's where the top's in, and you see a major mean reversion play with price coming back down into that level. You'll set in a complacency bounce, and that's where the cycle will ultimately be over. We have not yet seen that, right? And I can show you back in the previous cycles exactly what that looked like. So if we go over here you got your pi cycle top indicator flashing right over there. And this is what I mean. This is exactly what happened, right? Price goes well above and beyond where that 350 moving averages is. It pulls the 111 into it. And as they hit, boom, that's where the convergence takes place. You see the purple goes above the blue and it comes back down again, right? So that's currently what we're waiting for. We're still waiting for something like that to take place. And consequently, it means higher prices are likely still to come for the rest of the cycle. So if you want to learn more about the different theories within the cycle and the different models that you can use to predict major cycle bottoms and tops, make sure that you join Whale School, right? We are still taking signups just for a few more days. You have until Wednesday. We've extended it for those of you who are begging us. Please, 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 can your families and friends join? This is your final opportunity. You have until Wednesday. We've already started with the live opening event. The first workshop did take place, which was your welcoming workshop on Wednesday. The next Wednesday, which is this coming Wednesday in a couple of days' time, we're going to do workshop number 1, right? That's the actual start of the course. So please make sure you use the exact link in the description below. Sign up if you do want to learn more about that. And then let's continue looking at some of the statistics from Jeffrey over here. So if you look at June, June is typically the third best S&P 500 and NASDAQ month when it comes to election years, right? So ultimately, we would expect that major bottom to be found within the stock market. I'll bring up the stock market in just a moment. We also need to see the DXY, the dollar index, come down, and consequently, that should drive prices higher. So for the most part, on average, you should expect to see at least single-digit gains within the major stock markets. We're waiting for a potential breakdown in the DXY being, of course, the dollar index, right? So the dollar measured against a basket of other currencies has been caught within this major parallel channel. Now that's a multi-decade channel that you can use to gauge price when it's reaching those major tops, as well as when it's reaching those major bottoms. This has worked for literally decades. That you can see we caught right at that mid-level over there. We also caught at the range high marked by the gray area, and consequently we're still waiting for a break below that. Now that would be a significant level for price to break below, because if it can get and break below this level over here, that's where you're going to start to see the stock market really put in a major run. And in line with the timing, we've said that the expectation would be that that might take some time, right? So if June finds a major bottom, then you expect the start of the breakdown to take place now already in June, and it might take the whole of June to get underneath this level. Once you get underneath this level over here, which is 102 on the DXY, you can slowly start to grind down, and that should cause the other markets, the NASDAQ, S&P 500, Dow Jones, as well as crypto, to continue to rally for the rest of that year, putting in those major moves. So this is the way that you can look at the macro and the way that it ties in. Here's your actual stock markets. If you look over here at the S&P 500, we came very close to hitting that major support at about 5,188 points, but ultimately it got front run ever so slightly, and it's already starting to show signs of pushing up. A very beautiful clean chart is the Dow Jones on the bottom right, and you can see the range levels that it's held. Hit the top side of the range at 40,000, pulled back all the way down almost again, similar to the S&P 500, front running that level, which is coming in at 37,500, and now it is starting to move up. So all in all, it is looking good, right? It is looking good for a major bottom to be found over here. And again, if you look at those big election years, the Q1 dip tends to happen in April or May, before the last 7 months put in significant gains, right? So he says over here, 2024's third best election Q1 since 1950. It's tracking everything over there for you. Of course, you're getting a lot of chop, which is seen as well within the crypto market. You guys know it if you've been trading crypto actively. It's been quite a challenging couple of weeks to months to trade the market. You have to zoom in and go on a super low time frame, and you probably have to be trading the 15-minute time frame to actually get proper trades in. As for swing trades, there hasn't really been any swing trades within the market, barring a few anomaly coins, which we'll go through as well in today's show, that have shown major strength. So we're looking for that chop phase to end, and then you're expecting for a continuation and a slow grind onwards and upwards from June all the way into December for the rest of the year, which would suggest onwards and upwards, right? So just more supporting evidence over here. June is better in election years, right? So if you remove all the other Junes that were non-election years, then of course prices don't look as good. But when you look simply at June in election years, then you're looking at least a 2% gain for the Nasdaq, which for crypto could result in maybe 10-15% gain, because crypto tends to trade at a much higher magnitude. So with that being said, this has been our corrections within this particular cycle from the bottom, which occurred at the FTX lows at 15,500. And we've noted that in terms of the pullback levels, it's all been the same, right? We've been between that 22 and 23% pullbacks. This correction from top to bottom has been 23.51%. And we're currently sitting at 79 days into this correction, with the furthest ones having been 102 days, which means we're reaching very close to where the end of this correction should be, which is in alignment with the statistics and data of what we're seeing for the stock market. Is that April, May is a bottoming process, and then you're looking at June for a slow grind onwards and upwards and continuation of the price chart, right? So if you use a simple set of different moving averages, which I know a lot of hedge fund managers used to use this back in the day. One of the guys that I used to follow all the way back in 2017, he literally traded $100 million fund using simply just this strategy, which is going to be ultimately the 3, the 9, and the 30 moving average put on a 5-day time frame chart over here. And ultimately, when price is above all those moving averages, and you have the short moving average above the medium time frame, above the long time frame, which is the yellow above the green, above the purple, that's a bullish posturing, and that's where you want to be 100% long. So would you be 100% long here? No, you wouldn't, because price is not above the yellow yet, right? It was a couple of days ago, but you're de-risk ever so slightly as you continue to chop within this range over here. But as soon as price can break above the top side over here at $69,000 and close candles there, that opens up the full bullish long position where you expect continuation onwards and upwards. And the purpose of this is to hold you in for those big moves, right? So there are periods where you would de-risk, but for the most part, this will hold you in for those big moves. When you reclaim, you hold in, you de-risk a little bit, you hold in again, you de-risk a little bit, and so the story continues. And this is ultimately how you can make a whole lot of money in crypto, is by sticking with the trend, right? If the market is ranging, employ a ranging strategy, right? Which ultimately in the lower time frame has been ranging for the last couple of months. You can see the chop between the top and the bottom. But as soon as you break out of this range on a closing basis, you got to jump back into a trending strategy, expecting that prices are going to continue to trend higher and higher. So this is just another viewpoint of that ultimate range, with the range high labeled at the top, mid-range, which is where price is currently capped, and then the range lows. Now, there's a couple of different possibilities over here, which I'm going to show you on the next chart. But first and foremost, I wanted to outline over here that price is right at the mid-range. We are still above the 200 EMA on the 4-hour time frame. We're slightly below the pivot level, but the pivot level is based on the RSI, which is about to hit that 50 mark. And every time before that, when we've hit that 50 mark, you've seen price rally significantly. There's the RSI hitting 50, up. RSI hits 50, up. RSI hits 50, price goes up. Here it went a little bit lower, so I didn't count that one because that would have been a real shakeout. Here it hits the 50 mark, price goes up. Here you hit the 50 mark, price goes up. So will this time be different, or will it be exactly the same? You let me know in the comment section below. Let's have a look at the potential scenarios. So 2 potential scenarios that I'm looking at over the next week is as follows, right? So I'm looking at price potentially having already bottomed, therefore following this trajectory where we're looking for a bigger move up, sweeping above those range highs. So we hit this level, possible reaccumulation, short time frame reaccumulation over here at the mid-range at $67,000, and then watch for price to start to move up. Alternatively, if we start to break below that 200 EMA, then we're going to follow this trajectory, which we may as well make in red, and that would be a follow through all the way with a range retest back at the range lows, which would be $60,000, right? Now, it's not a death sentence. It would warrant a little bit of panic on the high time frames if this closes candles, on a high time frame at this level. But if you see the move play out relatively quickly, where you break below the 200, back test at 67K as resistance, come all the way back down, maybe you sweep ever so slightly into $60,000, but you hold these lows that occurred at $56,000 and then reclaim and break back into the range. And then you see something like this, right? The break back into the range, hold that level of support. That opens up a new long opportunity. You can first have a fast stop loss over there with the longs taken over here. And then as price starts to move up, you can raise that stop loss below these lows and so continue to trail the stop loss up as price moves. Now, I must say that as it currently stands, if I had to go with what I think is the higher probability play, I am leaning towards the red, right? I am leaning towards the red, but only ever so slightly because price has taken a long time to start to get moving over here. The stock market would need to put in a pretty substantial move in order for it to follow the yellow path with immediate effect. So we'll tentatively watch this and make sure you check in and tune into the streams on Monday. But for those of you who follow me on a regular basis, I will be moving on to Banter Plus from Monday. So go to our second channel, Banter Plus, you'll find me over there. And then also a reminder, if you do want to take these trades alongside me when I drop them, join us in the BitGet trading competition, right? There's $5 million up for grabs over here, a pretty huge prize pool. Okay, this one is 1.75 million, but I think I read somewhere else that it might be 5. Nevertheless, the link is in the description. Go through to the link to BitGet over there, click register now. As you click that link, it will bring you here. Click view team, and ultimately join into my team. This is the whale team. It's listed over there. The whale team, there's going to be prizes up for grabs. Let's try and win this competition. And then let's have a look at the charts over here. So one thing that would warrant the, the sweep of the current level on the 4-hour time frame that we showed, the yellow trajectory and a quicker move up, would be this, right? If you look at high block capital, you are seeing negative over here on the cumulative liquidation levels, meaning that a lot of people are going short over here. It's still pretty even in the liquidations versus longs versus shorts. In terms of the number of longs versus shorts, you got 370 shorts versus 273. But in terms of the delta, you can see that's pretty aggressive towards the downside. And this has caused that chop, right? Every time you can see prices move into that range low level, the mid-range level on the 4-hour time frame, and this goes negative, it leads to a quick little bounce, and then they start to go positive, trying to long the breakout, and then immediately it flips negative again. So expect that chop to continue until such time as you reach into one of the extremities of these ranges, that being either 73,000 or down to 60,000. It's just a question of which one comes first. So we can look at some of the altcoins over here. Let's have a quick look at some of the altcoins. And then I'm gladly welcoming chart requests. So drop your chart requests over there and let's get into it. So first and foremost, ETH. Let's go into ETH. Here's your ETH chart, right? ETH, we do have the potential long setup over here. If you got it over there on that wick, great, good for you. You're still in the trade. The trade still remains open for if price comes down one more time into the 3,624 level, and then you're looking to take the long on ETH. ETH obviously broke the downsloping trend line, broke back above the horizontal resistance over here, which has now been flipped into support. So therefore, that's the thinking behind this trade. You do have a big inefficiency over here, but we considered some of this already filled, right? Maybe you come back one more time to take out those stops over there, but otherwise, that has been the fair value gap level, which has been filled. And this is your fair value gap, right? If you take it from that wick over there to that wick over there, you can see, boom. So wick on this candle on Saturday to the bottom of the wick that occurred on Tuesday. That's your fair value gap. That level has been hit, and that was the basis for the long trade that we took over there. We are in slight profit, right? We are in slight profit. So currently we're up 3.94%. But if you're not in this trade and price comes back to that level, I would be willing to take another stab at that. Let's have a look at Solana. Okay, Solana caught right at a key level over here. You do want to see price bounce from this $160 level on the daily time frame. Failure to hold that level does bring or open up the possibility of moving down as low as $140, right? Let's have a look at Matic. We'll look at Matic. Matic, not looking too good. Rejected from the top side over here at 75. I don't think it'll make it round trip all the way down to 50, but probably going to come back into the mid-range at about 63 cents and find some support over there. What about NEAR? Okay, NEAR starting to break this trend line down again, which opens up the possibility of mid-range at 650. If it loses the 650 at the mid-range, then it's going to be coming down. So when you have a look at a lot of these altcoins, they show signs of weakness, right? A lot of them have rejected from key levels. If you want more on the altcoins, go to Friday's show because I virtually went through a massive amount of them on the list over there. And there are some that are showing relative strength. There are very few, but for the most part, a lot of them rejected from mega critical levels. And that brings me to the thinking that, you know, it's unlikely that Bitcoin is going to move up to that 74K level first if the altcoins are showing weakness. Now, of course, the altcoins could deviate and break back into the high time frame range levels and reclaim that, thus confirming a bear trap where bears obviously thought prices were going to go lower. But that's just currently the state of the market. That's ultimately what we're looking at over there. So some of the ones that have looked strong, of course, is Ondo, right? We've said this is the point, and I said this on Friday, right? Watch for the tag of the range level. This is the base of the move over here to the top side. You have your mid-range level coming in at $1.11. We hit that level and prices are moving up. Things that are in strong trending moves tend to continue to be in those strong trending moves. Ondo being one of the big movers over here. Here you got Mantra, which is obviously another real-world asset play. And this one's also been range-bound. So let's watch as price constantly moves up over here. If it can reclaim back above 83 cents, that will start to look really good for Mantra to potentially reclaim that level. Let's see, what else have we got? I'm looking in the chat over here. Let's go Phantom. You guys want Phantom, so let's quickly bring up Phantom over here. Phantom USDT. All right, let's have a look at Phantom. Guys, remember, join Whale School, right? If you do want to learn more about all of these things, if you want to learn to chart for yourself, so you don't always have to rely on Twitter and watching YouTube and spending all your time, getting other people's opinions. I teach you everything from A to Z, everything that I use to get into a massive trading account from pretty much zero to big numbers, 6-7 figure numbers. Go through to the link in the description below. It will help you out over there. Okay. Phantom, as mentioned, guys, this is the picture, right? A lot of rejections from key levels. That's your mid-range level on Phantom, rejected from 88 cents. So allow for the chop to play out, right? It's going to continue to be choppy. If you get a move down into this zone over here at 58, I like that as, a trend line retest, high lows, which happens to line up with that strong horizontal area. That will be a beautiful zone to pick up some more Phantom. Other than that, it is, of course, coming down just like the rest of them. The one that I wanted to look at, let's have a look at Filecoin, because we haven't looked at Filecoin for ages. I feel like, the hype around a lot of these file storage plays like Arweave and Filecoin has started to die out. Huge move right from bottom to top over here. Look at that. 287%. The lesson is there. Take your profits while you have them, right? And then price coming down 60% if you were a top buyer over there. Pretty brutal. So waiting for a dip all the way sub $5, right? I wouldn't buy this over here. I'd wait for eventually. I do believe that this is going to come back into the $5, potentially even $4 region again for Phantom. Let's have a look at Arweave. How's Arweave looking? Arweave was looking much stronger previously than what Filecoin is. So let's have a look. Okay, it still is looking much stronger. So in terms of the levels over here, let's just move that up. You have broken back above the key range level, right? So higher highs, higher lows continues to be the name of the game. And this $41.59 level remains key to hold. As long as it can hold this level, your next target becomes just below $70 at $69.50, right? $69.50. Okay, I'm going to bring up Turbo. You guys are asking for Turbo. I know Turbo was, when we last looked at it, was actually a very good chart. So let's see, does it still look that way? Okay, look at that long-term accumulation over there. Price moving up. I would say very, very simply, this is going to be your invalidation. I'd be viewing Turbo as having the potential to create a higher low over here. Let's have a look at a little bit of a lower time frame on Turbo just to get some more info over here. Okay, so I would still say that, yeah, I think this is a super key level. If you move this up over here, you can see this could be the back test into support, right? So high lows and high highs continue to remain the name of the game. But after big moves like this, also expect that prices will range a little bit, right? So you're probably going to continue to chop. So I wouldn't chase price over here. I'd rather wait if you're not in. Wait for something like that to come back towards those range low levels. But stops are going to be placed under there for the vast majority. So what you could wait is for some of those stops to get taken. You might see something like that. Quickly grab those stops and rather have a deeper invalidation zone, which would be below these lows over here, which is coming in at 0.0035. 0.0035. So we don't want to go too long, guys. We have a team out there that want to enjoy their weekend who are driving the stream. Smash the like button, hit the bell notification, subscribe to the channel, and then again, use the link below. Join the BitGet trading competition and make sure you join Whale School while time is still ticking. I'll see you guys all on the next one. Have a great weekend and cheers for now.